I have been gone a long time, but today I am going to give you a investing update. So right now in my kind of portfolio savings that I probably have about 75,000 New Zealand dollars. Most of that is actually probably in my Kiwi saver. Some of it is in cash. Some of it was in bonus bonds, but and then some of it is also in shares. Now, what I wanted to talk to you about is basically how I've gone about this, because I'm kind of taking a different angle on my channel now. I think what I'm going to focus on is giving my advice as a 30 something, what I would tell my younger self, what I've learned, and what I would do differently, I guess, if I knew the things that I know now. But, so that being said, you've all probably heard about FIRE and retiring early and things like that. So I think the biggest thing that I've realised about investing or making your money work for you, because the interest rate is so low at banks, is that it's not going to help just leaving it in a bank account, a savings account where there's not getting any interest. So it's making your money work for you a bit more. So with my sharesies, I have now only $1,300 in it, but before I started topping it up quite a bit, so then your return doesn't seem as high. But before I did that, it was about a 12% return. Right now it's just under 7%, but like I said, it's because I've been topping up, so it's kind of skewed the numbers a little bit. So I had the responsible order, which I was doing every week, but obviously I turned it off while I wasn't working, so I've only been back working again recently, so I've turned that back on. And I've invested in a few other things as well, like AMP, Genesis Energy, New Zealand wind farms, and then obviously I've got my responsible order as well. I also did invest in Gold Limited. That's done really well. That's almost a 25% return. So that's so you can see that's my portfolio history. And obviously I have been inputting money into it, but you can see how much I made. So I've made a return of about $90. I did literally just change the responsible order, and I think it all kind of went down, so I've changed back to responsible. I did have about $100 return, and I've managed to get at my $75,000. Some of it is, like I said, in my Kiwi savers, so that's kind of held there until either I retire or I buy my first home. And it's best to kind of like start up as soon as possible, because what you do is you have your 3% that you put in from your income, and then also the company will match it at 3% as well. So obviously you're getting money for money. So that's something. And then as well, so what I did was I opened up 4 different bank accounts. So 2 were attached to my card, and then 2 were not attached to my card. One is like so the 2 attached to the card is like an everyday, like a spending account. So I'd only put like $200 in a week, and that's what I spend for the week. The other one is like an emergency savings account, so that's got like $1,000 in it. So if you need glasses or dental or that kind of thing, or work done on your car, then you could have the money there. The other 2 accounts are like the money in account, so that's where my income would go into. And then the other used to be a high interest savings account. Obviously, with the changes in time, I'm not really getting much interest on it at all. So the other things that I've done is the bonus bonds, but obviously that's been disestablished here in New Zealand, so I'll be getting that money back sometime at the end of year. And then obviously the New Zealand sharesies that I've been doing. So pros and cons of that is very limited spread. And what I mean by that is if one company does really well or drops a lot, then it kind of affects your portfolio like a lot more. So it's very easy to use though. It's really easy because there's an app, so you can kind of manage it really quickly. It's a very straightforward, simple kind of platform to use. What I have started to sign up to is Smart Shares. So pros and cons of this is taking a little while to get set up with it. So this is actually a New Zealand company, but the portfolio is massive. So it's spread across lots and lots of different companies, and obviously that kind of spreads your risk. So I'm about to set up with that. I'm putting $1,500 into that, and I'm going to see how that goes. And I think what I'll do is, because you can do an automatic input into that each week from your income, and then that will mean that it's spread across a lot more, so the risk is a lot less. So with this, there's also a new thing that's come out, which BNZ are doing. It's called UWealth. So it's like a investment account that you can just set up in your app. You just let it, when you create a new account, you go to your wealth, UWealth, and set up a new account, put the money in, and they'll actually invest the money. And you can choose, I think there's 5 different gradings. So there's like conservative, so obviously that's less risk, but most likely less returns. Or I choose growth because I'm young, I don't have a mortgage, and I don't have kids. So I put quite a lot of my savings that I had in my savings account into that account. So how do I save up my money to invest? These are my top tips. So I am actually in a flatting situation. So I share with other people, which obviously keeps my rent down, especially I'm living in probably a very expensive part of the world, New Zealand, where house prices are about 7 to 8 times your salary. And that's with a 6-figure salary for a 2-bed unit. So it's extremely expensive here. I think it's worth moving to places, I mean, it's hard with COVID, but moving to places where housing is a lot cheaper. I eat consciously, so I do not waste food. I eat everything that's in my fridge and then I'll go food shopping. I am environmental in a way because I bought an economical car. I don't buy something with a ridiculous sized engine. I bought a Toyota, so it's very economical to run. And I also worked on increasing my salary. So if you'd like another video how I actually did this, because I have doubled my salary in about 4 to 5 years, I've managed to double it, and there's definitely been like a strategy in my head how I've done this. So I am now on over 6 figures working in IT. So yeah, if you'd like to watch that video, let me know in the comments below and I'll create a video on how I did that. So yes, if I knew all this when I was younger, I would start investing in shares a lot sooner. Like even if you've got $20 a week, the minimum though for smart shares is $500. So obviously that's New Zealand dollars. There are other companies though in America. If you just Google shares investors, then there's quite a few different options. Smart shares is $500 minimum. Obviously with Sharesies, it's very, like, I don't know, you could probably start with $20 or $50. So I would definitely start investing in shares probably a lot sooner and making sure that whatever money you do have is like making you money back. I would also have invested in property a lot sooner. House prices now have just increased so much, but if you're starting out, I would definitely look at living in places where your living costs can be a lot more comparable to your earnings. So, I mean, for example, when my parents were younger, your house price was probably only 3 to 4 times your salary, whereas now it's obviously 7 to 8 times your salary here in New Zealand. So yeah, that is definitely things that I would do if I could go back in time. Right now we are looking at trying to buy a property, but it's incredibly difficult. So I hope you found this useful. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell, and